completed another repair on the frame. This has to do with the front cross member. Front cross member is subject to a lot of clearance issues, running over stones, curbs, whatever. This is what it looked like before. You can see that it's pretty severely dented, and I tried to use a stud gun to place some studs and try and pull it up. That really didn't work. This gauge is 14 gauge, so it's a pretty beefy material. So what I opted to do was just replace this top piece with 14 gauge sheet metal and welded it in, added little stitch welds. It wasn't a continuous weld on the original piece, so I tried to mimic what was on previously. So that completes the bottom side of the frame. I need to flip the frame over and do the differential strengthening plates above the differential mount. And I believe there is one crack somewhere on the front side that just needs to have a little welding. Okay, moving right along. This is the top side of the differential mount strengthening kit. You can see the pins that come through from the bottom side. They extend ½ inch or so above the cross member, differential cross member. Not quite sure what you call it. I'm going to call it differential cross member. Sanded it all down, but if you look, if you can focus here, you can see the crack that goes that way. There's another one that goes that way. And what causes that is acceleration. If you recall, I replaced the bracket underneath, and that was cracked right through here. So when that cracked, it allowed this pin to move back and forth, adding additional stress on this material here and resulting in a crack. So the solution for that, number one, is to run a bead underneath, which I did. So just to follow that crack underneath on the bottom side. And then the next thing to do is use these plates. And these plates will go right up here like that and get welded all the way around. So that's what I'm going to do next. And when I finish up, I'll bring you back, show you the final results. Okay, the finished product. Still hot. Get a marshmallow and make a s'more over that. Yeah, so we're all done with the frame, got all of the strengthening in it, and happy with the results. Turned out pretty good. I'm all done with the frame except one little problem. Let me show you. So the guy that sold me this frame swore that it was a no-hit frame, very straight, and after I cleaned it up, it revealed cracks and repairs on the differential mount as I repaired that. But as I look at the front end, there's been some work on this front end. I'm not the best welder, but maybe I could do better than that. Don't want to criticize, but just kind of, if you're going to do a job like that, why even bother? Up here, you can see they welded around here, here, and around here. What it should like is nice clean welds, nice clean bead, couple tacks there, and a beautiful bead around there. Also, there's no weld here, no weld here. So the result is on this support tube, you can see there's a gap there, and there's bolts that go through there. And no, you can't just put a bolt through and hope that it'll tighten up. It won't do that. Too much structure on it. So I'm kind of thinking, how am I going to resolve that? And there's a couple things that I thought about. The first thing that came to mind, well, I'll just cut these welds out here, and there's one down here. Oops, where's my finger? Cut that out, and then that'll make it easier to push that plate up against the tube and be able to bolt it. The only issue I have with that is it's about at least an 1/8 inch, maybe 3/16, and if I push it that way, these are not going to line up. Currently they line up just like these line up, very nice, clean. And I don't know if I really want to do that. So it's a possibility, may end up doing that, but the other thing I'm looking at doing is a hammer. And it's a little thin wall, but using the hammer, insert it in here and see if I can hammer it. Maybe. The other thing I can do, thought about, is I can insert this. I'll have to trim it down, but insert it against the wall inside, and then use a C-clamp, clamping those two together, and see if that works. So that's what I'm going to ponder and try, and we'll see what happens. Can't really wrench or tie anything to another suspension component for fear that it'll just pull that suspension apart as well. So the other thing that I'm looking at, and you know, golly, you can see these are kind of dented, pitted. Same thing with this one over here. In fact, it looks like there's a crack there. I could scavenge those off of that frame that I'm sitting there, or I also have a front end of my 250 frame. I could scavenge those off. Got to be careful though, because it could throw everything off. So need to ponder that too. And once I come up with all these great solutions, I'll film it and let you know. Thanks. Okay, so the clamp, the hammer did not work. Just did not work. Couldn't do enough pounding. Although I'm thinking about an air hammer, if that would make a difference, probably would not. The clamp, it's clamped down pretty good, and it certainly squeezed that. The only issue I have, and I should have tried this before putting this tube on, the hole lines up, but I think the threads are screwed up. They may have tried to cinch, just use a bolt and try and tighten it up to see if they could bring it together. It certainly appears that the threads are stripped. The bolt won't take at all. So lo and behold, I'll have to get a tap and tap it out. I'll remove the tube, obviously, in order to tap it out. And then I think may be able to squeeze it in. So that's future work. I am leaving for another 3 weeks, so I won't be able to spend any time on the Triumph. Headed off to Hawaii, sunny Hawaii. Always go to Hawaii in the summertime. Don't know why, but it is going to be 101 here today, and I am glad I have an air-conditioned garage to work in. All right, until next time, take care. Bye.